What it is? How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Too Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Try saying that 10 times fast. We're going to talk about all the things, including how this is an LGBT classic, talk about the cast, all of the fun adventures they get into, and more importantly, how legendary this movie is, and you should have watched it if you haven't seen it already. But first, before you do that, listen to what we have to say, and the only way to do that is to sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. My name is Jonathan. We're here with you all, back at it again, another week. I'm here with the lovely Alex and Jerome. How are y'all doing today? Jerome, how you
Me. I'm good.
Okay, I could go to Alex. Alex, how you doing?
No, I mean, that's fine. I've already started now. You can't, it's too late. It's like
Oh, you haven't really started.
It's like writing a parking ticket. Once you start, you can't stop.
Depending how fast I can drive, yes I can make you stop.
Well, if you're in the car, they're not going to ticket you. That'd be cruel.
They would ticket you. Oh yeah, and parking attendants have been known to be the kindest, warmest people in the world.
I remember years ago, my dad, I was going to this, it was when I was like 12 or 13. I was going to this acting class. And my dad, he was parked outside. And he was parked in an illegal spot, but he was in the car so that way he could like move it if somebody came up. And the parking attendant came up, and my dad was like, "Oh, wait, I'm getting ready to leave." And the parking attendant was like, "All right, great, let me give you this parking ticket first." And he gave him the parking ticket.
See, no, the reason they can't give you a parking ticket when you're in the car is because you're too close. They've become too close to an ass whooping, because if they dare to give me a ticket, you better believe I'm getting out this car. What do I have to lose at this point? I already got the ticket.
Another ticket? Another $300?
No, allow me to exchange you. You gave me a ticket. Allow me to give you a concussion. All right? I feel like that's a fair trade. Just get beat down. No, you know. But yeah, my week's been fine. Glad to hear that the new, Milestone Initiative New Talent Showcase from DC is selling out in a couple different comic book stores. A couple of my cohort from Milestone Initiative have been like, yeah, I went to go buy the book just to support, and it was sold out in my comic book shop. So, and I'm hearing a lot that's going around. So glad that it's selling well, doing well. Great. Hope people are enjoying the stories. In fact, Rob hit me up today to be like, I got your book. And he read the story and everything. So yeah, so, and if you haven't picked that up yet, go to your local comic book store, ask if they have it, ask for the DC New Talent Showcase Milestone Initiative, and pick it up when you get a chance. But other than that, it's been a quiet week for me. I haven't really been watching anything or doing anything. Only thing that of note is the Summer Game Fest started, so they had their big like live showcase this week. They showed off Spider-Man 2, which looks good, looks really good. I'm excited to play that game come the fall, although I gotta get a PS5 to play it because they're no longer making PS4 ports anymore. So I'm just gonna, well, it's because the game's just too powerful. It's like we're finally at that place where it's like they've moved on to the next gen of consoles. You gotta have a PS5 or nothing. So hopefully I can get one. Hopefully the trials of trying to get a PS5 are over and you could just buy one. And then also they showed off Mortal Kombat 1. The new Mortal Kombat looks good. It is bloody and brutal just as much as the last one was. But this time also the story looks really cool too. They've no spoilers for the ending of Mortal Kombat 11, but basically they're rebooting, they're restarting. And it is in canon based off of how Mortal Kombat 11 ended. So I'm excited for that. They're trying out some new things. Like one of the main ones that I thought was interesting is in this new timeline that they're doing, Sub-Zero and Scorpion are brothers. So I'm like, that's going to be curious. I'm curious how that works. Like, are they still from separate clans, or are they from the same clan, but they just happen to be brothers? Like, or happen to have different
they
fighting
were separated
styles.
at birth.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see that. Also, apparently they got Jean-Claude Van Damme to come in and do a little bit of Johnny Cage stuff. I'm sure that's not going to be in the story mode. I'm sure that's going to be like a customizable thing that you can swap to Jean-Claude Van Damme version of Johnny Cage. But still, like, it looks good, and it's the only thing that's weird is the title, because the title is Mortal Kombat 1 in reference to it rebooting everything. But I'm like, that's gonna be confusing, because there is, like, every time they do that, Battlefield did the same thing where it's like Battlefield 1, and it's like, there is a Battlefield 1, it's the first one.
Yeah,
now there's two.
It's not called Battlefield
First one to
1,
die.
It's just called Battlefield.
Yeah, I know. Technically, that's not his actual title, but when someone says, hey, have you played Battlefield 1? Now they have to clarify which one they're talking about.
Or they could just say, have you played the original Battlefield?
I guess that's true.
Because it's been a long time since the original Mortal Kombat, so, like, you would have to now start saying the original Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much been my week. Nothing else to report. Oh, no, actually, there's a report. Watch Spider-Verse this week. We're actually going to do a review of that next week, audience, so you'll have to wait till next week to get my full thoughts along with everyone else's. But what I can tell you right now is it's good.
Wait, in 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, right.
Well,
sorry, my bad.
They'll hear it in 2 weeks.
They'll hear it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But it's good. It's good. If you haven't seen it already, go see it. It's fantastic. I'm vibing with the soundtrack. It's not as good as the first soundtrack from the first movie, but I do like a lot of the tracks. Metro Boomin did the soundtrack this time around, and he did a great job. And also, the animation this time, it's beautiful. It's even better than the first one. So please, support this movie so that we get more Spider-Verse movies. As long as they're good, though. Because, we don't want it to become a Fast and Furious thing where it's like you hit a point where you're just like, all right, look, this is enough.
At least it's animation.
Enough is enough.
At least it's animation, so it's based already.
And they actually are
reality.
Superheroes. So
right.
I saw a clip from the Fast and the Furious, or Too Fast, Too Furious with Ludacris. He looks ridiculous in that movie.
You mean he looks like Ludacris in 2000?
Maybe that's what it is. I'm like, anybody from 2000, I'm like, you look ridiculous at this point in your life. Nobody looked good in the early 2000s.
Speaking of Ludacris, there's this ad. I don't know if you guys have seen this ad, if it's come up for you, like on YouTube or whatever. But it's this ad with Ludacris, Zoe Saldana, and Matt Damon sitting together at a table. What is it for? What's the ad for?
You had to be up until Matt Damon. Then it got weird.
Yeah. Oh, and Jeremy Allen White. It's for Stella Artois.
That is a weird
for Stella Artois
group.
Yeah, that's a weird group of people. Yes, and Zoe Saldana's like, if you could have dinner with anybody on the planet, who would it be? And Ludacris is like, I would go with a world-class actor, me.
Me.
Oh,
I
remember that.
Right, as he's sitting there with Zoe Saldana and Matt Damon. But yeah,
and you're not gonna put Jeremy Allen White in that grouping?
No, well, I'm looking at this ad and it says Jeremy Allen White's in it as well.
Have you seen The Bear? It's amazing.
Right? No, sorry. He only appears through the phone. He's not actually there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't like him. I just don't like him.
Why?
I need to watch The Bear.
He's great in The Bear.
Oh, his acting's. There's something about. I look at him and I'm like, it's the Tom Cruise effect for me. I'll look at the person. I'm like, I feel like if I met you in real life, I wouldn't like you, no matter how nice of a person you are.
He's a nice guy.
There's just something about him. I don't know. There's something about him. I look at him and I'm like, I don't like you.
Is it because you saw him in Shameless first? Because a lot of people saw him in Shameless and they were like, all right, well, this guy's gonna play jerks for the rest of his life.
No. It might have possibly been that, but like I see him in The Bear, and he does a very good job. The Bear is very good. I like that show.
Can't wait for season 2.
I need to watch it.
It's supposed to come out later.
It's on my
this year.
list.
But I have to watch it kind of broken up because I'm like, every time I see his face, I'm like, it's like he almost has a very punchable face. And I do. I want to punch him a little bit.
Well, how was your week? Did you feel like punching anybody else, Allie?
Oh, plenty of people. I got my car back. I'm super excited about that. Super happy for that. It was 2.5 weeks without it, so I hate the
Nice.
bus.
Jerome's
I hate the
getting
bus a
emotional.
bunch.
That's why he had to turn off his camera.
Thank you. I
Nice.
know it's a lot.
I was looking for something.
There's been nonsense going on at my work, so that's been fun. I can't say too much because I don't know what entirely is going on, and technically it is a major corporation, so I can't say really shit. Working a corporate job, a medical corporate job, is the fucking worst. So, but it's gonna be interesting. And I was one of those people who tried to get Jerome's comic. Look at that.
Hey.
He stopped by.
I need to get my copy.
Yeah, he was able to sign it when he stopped by. So I went to 4 different comic book stores to get this. I went to one in Bellevue. It didn't come in with his latest shipment. He was like looking at the invoices. He's like, I should have had it. And then the second one was like, we didn't get our shipment in at all for any of our comic books. I felt kind of bad for them. I went to the comic book store at Pike Place. They were completely out. Finally, I called this other comic book store, Arcane, which is in Shoreline. And like, I called them ahead of time because it was already like 5:30. They were about to close in half an hour. I'm like, do you have this? They're like, yeah. I'm like, can you hold one aside for me? So I got it today. Like literally maybe an hour before recording. And yeah, Jerome's right. It's like either being sold out or people are not getting their shipping or their shipments in. So that's another thing to be concerned about. Other than that, my week's been pretty chill. I haven't done too much. Other than watch the movies. I've been looking at watching the Fast and the Furious movie. That keeps peeking up in my brain, and I'm like, I kind of want to watch it. Kind of.
Tokyo Drift was playing on TV earlier today. I was considering watching it, but I was like, no, never mind.
Like, it doesn't feel worth it. I, like, want to watch it, but it does not feel worth it. I feel like I will gain nothing out of watching this movie.
Right.
So, but anyway, how's your week been?
Good. Pretty standard. Yesterday, I watched I Want to Dance with Somebody on Netflix. The Whitney Houston biopic.
Did you like it?
Oh.
So, it was perfectly fine.
I was like, any review that starts with a sigh and then so it's like okay, well, it's so I'm already guessing it wasn't great.
Naomi Aki, I believe is how you say her name. She did great. She did a great job portraying Whitney Houston, and Stanley Tucci did a great job playing Clive Davis.
I didn't know he was in there. I love Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, he was great. And he really like transformed for the role. He really looked like Clive Davis as well. But especially the first like 3/4 of the movie, it was so fast paced, and it just basically went through her entire career kind of in a way that we already knew. Like, it went through all of the beats of her career that you already know. So, like, How Will I Know? Then I Want to Dance with Somebody. Oh, you're making music for white people. And then I Will Always Love You, and blah, 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 and then blah, blah, blah. And then at the very, like, the last quarter of the movie, that's when you kind of get into some of the more emotional stuff. Because obviously, towards the end of her life, it was it was rough towards the end of her life.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the whole backstory about her and like her relationship. Like, she had a whole girlfriend when she first started out and everything, and they dive into that.
See, but that's my because my only hesitancy to watch that movie was that it was made by the same person who made Bohemian Rhapsody, which I don't know if they got the same writer too. I know it's the same director, but I remember my biggest issue with that movie is how much stuff they made up to make the movie work. And so I was really like, I'm not in the mood to find out that like half of this is like lies just to make Whitney Houston's story more interesting as a movie. Right. Granted, she has an interesting life just off rip, so it's not like she doesn't have an interesting story to tell. But just I like, so that was my biggest thing. But I did hear that was a big part of the movie. And so I was like, I'm just not. I don't doubt that happened. It's more just like, does the movie tell it the way it happened, or do they like make some stuff up?
Right. I heard this was approved by her family, so. But then again, Bohemian Rhapsody was also like approved.
It was approved by the band.
The band, right? And I heard that was like they made up stuff to make themselves look better. The band, so yeah.
In the end, overall, they always just it's all lies. It's all lies.
Right. But overall, it was good to relive all of the Whitney Houston moments that you know and love. So
I'm glad they nailed the Super Bowl. I remember seeing that in the trailer and being like, that's an iconic moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the only national anthem to go #1 on Billboard.
The only one who's come close to that is Jimi Hendrix. But even then, I remember having a discussion.
Wasn't it more his guitar riff though, not his actual singing?
Oh no, he didn't sing it. He just like played it.
Yeah, it was a guitar riffing. Yeah, so that's like also a difference, because you see so many singers crack under the national anthem.
You know why? It's because they all want to be Whitney Houston. They all want to do like some Heart of the Red. Like it's like you don't need to do all that. Just sing the song.
Wait, what did they want to do again? Sorry, it cut out. What did they want to do?
I don't need to do it again. You heard it the first time.
You should sing it and show us how they want to do it, though.
Right.
Because they want to do all these runs and everything. It's like, you don't need to do all that. Or sometimes they just change the song entirely. Have you heard R. Kelly's version of the national anthem for, I think it was a Celebrity Game?
I actively don't listen to R. Kelly.
This man turned the national anthem into like a gospel R&B jam, complete with like audience interaction, everything. Where he's like, "Come on, y'all, let's clap it up." And it's like, no, we here for some basketball. This is not a concert. Get your ass off the stage. We off the court. We trying to watch this game. Like I just don't understand it. I'm like, just sing the song. If you're not like a Beyonce or like a Whitney Houston or whatever, don't try and do these runs. You ain't Jennifer Hudson, all right? You can't do it.
Speaking of which, I don't know why for you, Jerome. I can't watch the movie on Friday because I am going to the Mariners game. Just talking about the national anthem.
That reminded you.
That just clicked in my head right now. I was like, I gotta say it now though, because I'm gonna lose it eventually. But I will see somebody singing the national anthem this Friday, the 16th.
They better not remix it.
God, I hope not.
Listen, Fergie learned that lesson the hard way.
Oh, Fergie.
She got ridiculed.
The fact that like players literally turn their backs to laugh is something that's like, oh man, like these players are like stoned.
Banner, yeah. What did she say? She said,
like,
banner, yeah.
It's like, yo, cut it off. Cut her mic. Cut it. Like, just especially because it's like, you don't even have to do that. Like, it makes me think of like, for example, Aretha Franklin. Because she sang the national anthem a couple times, but I think on her last time she was much older, so her voice couldn't do the things it used to be able to do. But she took it slow. She brought a piano out, and she just played the piano. Like, so she kind of made it her own version by having a piano that she could play live on the football field while she sang the national anthem, and it was fine. She sang it normal, and it went over really well. Like, if you want to do something like that. That makes sense. It's like, all right, cool. Like, you know, like adjust it to your voice. Fine. But you don't need to be doing all of the fanfare and stuff like that, especially if you can't do it. Just sing regular. All right?
Yeah, agreed. Well,
other than that, how was the rest of your week, Jonathan?
That was it. I didn't really do too much this week, so.
A weird discussion we just had there.
I'm just saying, you know, everybody wants to be Whitney Houston, but y'all ain't gonna get no Billboard Top 100 national anthem, okay? It's not gonna happen for you.
Well, speaking of patriotism, sorry.
Patriotism? No, wait. Speaking of patriotism, what? Go for it.
Drag queens.
Hey.
That is not a decision at all.
That is a topic of America right now, though.
I guess that's true.
It is. And you know what? It's Pride Month. So
it is Pride Month. You're honoring Pride Month.
I was talking to my sister about this, and I was like, I'm queer, and I never really came out to anybody because, like, I told my mom when I was young, and then she kind of just told the rest of my family, and they were like, all right, chill. And then, like, our friends, you don't really have to come out to our friends because we're all a big bag of mixed stuff. And I was like, I've never come out in my life, and I've never had anybody to come out to. And I feel like I missed out on that opportunity sometimes.
They ever seen that College Humor sketch about that, where it's Grant O'Brien? Because Grant is bisexual.
Oh, where he comes out as...
Yeah, he comes out to his friend... To his friends.
They think he's coming out as gay, and they're like, we don't care. But he's like, well, I'm bi. And then they're like, then they have a problem.
No, they don't care about anything. They're just like...
No, they have a problem with it being bi in the end because they're like, just choose one side or the other.
Oh, right. That's right. Because he's like... They're like, oh no, it's fine, Grant, whatever. He's like, no, you don't understand. I have formed my entire identity around you guys not accepting this.
I've never like had that thing, but it's also like, well, I kind of want to come out to somebody, and I kind of actually did by accident recently. So I did post about being like, being a queer person on my regular Instagram, and how I was like, if you piss me off this month, it's considered a hate crime. Or like a lot of the statements are a lot of arguments are gonna end during Pride Month. Really? When I had originally left my job, I had added a lot of coworkers, and I had forgotten that. And then I came back to this job. Apparently, quite a few coworkers did not know I was queer, and so I got a happy Pride Month, which very sweet of them, very supportive, but also what in their heads made them think I was straight at all. Like, I've never had somebody assumed I was straight more than anything.
No, just don't, at this point, you don't assume anything, all right? You wait till someone tells you. Because then that's how you...
there's like a thought... Because there's some... make up an idea in somebody's head already.
I'm just saying, there's some dudes out here that, like, you'd swear they are flamboyant as hell. You know what I mean? They get a manicure, pedicure every other week. They dress a certain type of way, and you're like, he's gay. And then you find out not only does he have a girlfriend, he's been dicking them down since he was out the womb. Like, it's just,
already we've gotten the
you
phrase.
Know what? But that's more on men than anything, because y'all.
So they have to come out as straight, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's more on men than anything. Because why is grooming and taking good care of yourself considered gay? That's something that says for your gender. Y'all need to learn how to moisturize properly.
This actually will go into my... Well, first of all, black people know how to moisturize. Let me tell you something.
Are okay to use. I'm just saying.
It's white people that don't know how to moisturize. Black people have been moisturizing since the day we could walk. All right? The second we could get a Jergens bottle of lotion in our hands. Cocoa butter. Put the olive oil in your hair. Literally, there's not a piece of a black person's body that isn't moisturized in some way, shape, or form. With hair moisturizer, beard conditioner.
I don't know. I've seen some people's elbows. I've seen some black people's elbows.
But no, this is my pitch actually. So check it out, right? Like I have a great way to get more straight men to actually go to the manicure and pedicure place, and they not feel like, no matter who they are, you know what I mean, if they have some reservations or whatever. And it's a place, I pitched it with a whole bunch of people. We were talking about it. It's called Spiffy Lube. It's where you can go and you can get your oil changed. And while that's happening, you can also go and get a manicure, pedicure. But the inside is going to look like a metal, like it look like a workshop. You know what I mean? There's going to be what's it called? Not is it corrugated? I don't know what the word is, but you know that like, be steel.
I thought you were trying to say Keurig for a second.
No. It's gonna be. There's gonna be steel all along the sides. You know, all the ladies are gonna be using Dremels and everything like that. You know, hardware tools, like, or at least it's gonna look like that rather. But it's gonna do the same thing. You know what I mean? The chairs are gonna have massage chairs. Sports are gonna be on inside. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be a man's true paradise where he can get pampered and pressed. But he can still feel like a man. Spiffy Lube. If you want to support my mission and my drive, Venmo me at Jerome-Ep. Send me some money for Spiffy Lube. Just put like an oil sign or something in the description, and I'll know that it's for Spiffy Lube. And then I'll put it inside of a bank account. And one day we're gonna make this happen. All right, Seattle's gonna be ground zero for Spiffy Lube. Y'all gonna see.
Hashtag Spiffy Lube.
That's right.
Well, back to the topic at hand. Today's film that we're reviewing is Too Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie
Newmare.
Newmare. Jerome, tell us a little bit more about this film.
Yeah, so this is a movie coming all the way from 1995, the best year, because that's the year I was born. And
4 years old.
and it is the description on IMDb says 3 drag queens travel cross country until their car breaks down, leaving them stranded in a small town. And that is a very apt description, but it leaves out a lot actually. But this is a very popular LGBT comedy from the 90s. It was very big when it came out, mostly because of the talent that was attached to it. This movie is awesome. I'm glad we got to do this because I really wanted this. Like, I think this is a great movie. I remember watching it for the first time and being like, "This is insane." I'd never seen a movie like this because I had never known anything about drag culture at that time. I think I watched this when I was like, maybe in middle school, so I knew nothing about it. But it like blew me away when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah, we have Wesley Snipes,
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, which I had not looked at the cast list, apparently, and I just realized, and I'm just now seeing that John Leguizamo was Chi-Chi.
He didn't have his wig on at the beginning of the movie. Like, that was full Leguizamo right there. When he was walking to the competition. When he was walking to the competition, he held a head with the wig on. So, like, Leguizamo was from full view. Ha! It's not just me. You miss him too.
Yeah, this is Alex. I know it's a running thing. Alex doesn't realize that it's the person who it is starring in the movie. Now I have that added to my my resume as well. RuPaul makes an appearance, as well as oh my gosh, who else?
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams
was a surprise. I forgot he was in this movie until he showed up. I was like, "Yo, Robin Williams in this movie." Also, Misunderstood is in this movie as well. That's one of the few drag queens outside of RuPaul that I knew by name. But there's a lot of drag queens in here as themselves, which is cool. I mean, if there's any movie to do it, it's this one.
Yeah, Misunderstood.
Wait, what was Naomi Campbell?
Girl at China Bowl. So she's probably very much in the background.
No, she was actually, they met her right as they came in. See, I actually remember that because I was confused. I was like, is that Naomi Campbell? Because she looks so insanely young. Well, it's been like over 30 years now. Or it's been close to 30 years this movie's been out. And so when I saw her, I was like, she looks like a teenager here. It's crazy how young she looks.
Okay.
She might have been a teenager. How old is Naomi Campbell?
I think she's in her 50s.
She's in her 50s, so she was in her 20s. Maybe. That's so weird. It kept weirding me out because they called John Leguizamo's character, they kept calling, like, kid and child and, like, oh, it's a baby. The man was 35 years old in this film.
That's if I have a critique of this movie, it's that they should have. I know they cast Leguizamo because he was big at that time, but they clearly meant for that role to be someone younger,
much younger.
Much younger.
Because I was like, they kept like saying like certain things, especially with the Robin Williams character, who was his character's name was John
Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
Yeah, John Jingleheimer Smith. And I was like, at first I thought the Patrick Swayze's character was being funny, but I'm like, oh no, that's his name. Sorry. Vida is her. Vida Boheme is Patrick Swayze's drag name in this movie. Noxzema Jackson is Wesley Snipes. And Chi-Chi Rodriguez is John Leguizamo's. By the way, that whole introduction to his character was just straight up racist, by the way. When they first see him on the stairs, they're like, oh, look at the little Latin boy cry. Ask the little Latin boy. I was like, the fuck is happening here? And then when they go upstairs and they're like talking about it, they're like, oh, don't get involved with the Latins because this is like, they mentioned some organization that was big in the 1990s, but like, I was like, excuse you.
Yeah, there were quite a few microaggressions.
Oh yeah.
In the movie, both coming from the drag queens and coming from the outsiders as well.
With the drag queens, there was just a lot of racial microaggressions, and then outside world was racial and homophobic. But I did appreciate that the movie didn't steer away from it. They didn't try to pretend like, oh yeah, that they were safe and that they were going to be welcomed everywhere. Like, this really was about them getting stuck in the middle of nowhere and how the middle of nowhere would probably treat them. Also, Wesley Snipes' arms were insane in those dresses.
That's the thing. Throughout the entire movie, and I know it's part of I feel like it's part of the comedy, but I love the idea like very few people know that they're drag queens. Like, they just think they're women, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you John Leguizamo. When John Leguizamo has his makeup on and everything, he passes, definitely.
He looks a little like Rosie Perez.
Yeah, and then you got Patrick Swayze. I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. And the Vita getup, it looks a lot more feminine. Wesley Snipes does not look like there's not enough makeup in the world to cover up the muscles, to cover how big his back is. This man is out here. He's buff. There's no way.
It's when they have like the whole body coverage, maybe. But like when they, at the very beginning when they're getting awarded or when they're getting called winners, he's in like this spaghetti strap dress. I'm like, this man is walking around like this. Accepting his like award.
And then you got the chiseled jaw too, like just a sharp jawline.
Well, I think that kind of helped in some of the more comedic moments when he's getting on the dudes who are not treating the women right, and he's grabbing them by the balls quite literally.
Yeah.
And
I love that scene when they go and they play in basketball with the WNBA and Wesley Snipes is on the court.
Noxema.
And I was like, Noxema's about to straight up destroy y'all on this court in this game.
And
There's no way. She did. She dominated on the court.
I like when he bounced away though and he was clapping. He's like, yay! And he was like bouncing away. You're just like ready to body check anybody that came near you with the ball, and like then you were bouncing away giggling happy. I'm like, I like that though.
I had not seen this movie before this week. I didn't know it existed before this week. And
yeah, I was gonna ask because Alex, did you also? This was also your first time too, right?
So I have watched it, but it's been like decades since I watched it, so I didn't really remember anything of it. I watched it, like back when I was like a teenager or something, but I didn't even remember the title. I didn't even remember the title of the movie, honestly. So which I do appreciate that they give you exactly why this is called Too Wong Fu. Right away, they explain it right at the beginning.
I also didn't know that this was the first major Hollywood studio movie to center on drag queens, which kind of makes sense because I feel like in maybe like the 80s, that's when like the drag culture first started popping off, and so naturally in the 90s you get a movie made based on it, which I feel like there aren't a lot of. I feel like there aren't really any drag movies nowadays.
I mean,
the closest we've gotten is Pose, the FX show.
That's
that
a
came
show,
out.
Right?
Yeah, but I just mean like something that's focused on that culture, which that's more ball culture
the biggest
than just
example
drag
is probably
queens,
RuPaul's Drag Race. That's probably the biggest.
I meant like the fictional show, because reality show. You've gotten RuPaul's Drag Race, but I'm like, as far as like a fictional tale about that culture, Pose is probably the closest we've gotten in a while. And even then, that's really about ball culture, so it's not even really specifically drag queens as much as it's just about that era of the 70s going into the 80s. So it's been a minute since we had like an actual like drag queen focused movie or anything like that.
It technically wasn't drag queen focused, but I would argue Some Like It Hot is definitely a drag movie. Definitely.
Would you call also Mrs. Doubtfire a drag?
I would.
No, I would not consider that a drag movie.
Why?
He puts on a corset. he puts on stockings. He does layered makeup. That is
No,
drag.
he puts on a mask. Drag is you are still you with the makeup and everything, and you're putting on a
maybe
show.
Wesley
He's
Snipes
not
had
putting
it.
on a show. He is in disguise as
He's
another
acting
person.
as Mrs. Doubtfire. That's worse. And maybe if Wesley Snipes had a mask, you would actually believe it a little bit more that he was a woman.
No,
Or
but
be
that's
mistaken for a woman.
But that's the thing. It's like that's part of the comedy is that we know that is that they're not cis women. You know, they're drag queens, but that's the comedy of the story. It's like, you know, but it's like even they say it here. It's like you can't just put on a wig and makeup and just become a drag queen. There's 4 steps to it. All right, that's what the movie said.
There's always 4 steps to everything.
Jonathan, what did you think though of like watching this for the first time? Like, were you surprised by the casting? Were you surprised by like the story or anything? Like, what'd you think?
Yeah, well, I didn't know who was in it, so I was surprised. Well, clearly, I was just surprised now by the fact that what's his name? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting everyone's name right now. By the fact that John Leguizamo was in it. But yeah, I going back, I was kind of thinking about my main thought, or one of my main thoughts while watching this movie was, I wonder how it was received by the public at large when it was released. Because even now, when things come out, I imagine if a movie like this were to come out now, there would still be some backlash. So I just wonder like how it was received when it came out. But overall, I thought it was fun. There were comedic moments. I thought Wesley Snipes as Noxzema killed it. Noxzema, she had some hilarious lines in there. I just knew when somebody said, I think when they were staying in the house, and it was either Vita or Chi-Chi who said, "I'm staying," and then Noxzema said, "Okay, well, go on, Jennifer Holliday." I just knew that was the joke that was going, because the first thing that popped into my mind was, "I'm staying." So that was funny to me. I also was thinking like, you know, how obviously it's fictional and a lot of this stuff is severely exaggerated. Like we were mentioning at the beginning, chances are you would know that by looking at them, they were drag queens, and not like cisgender women. But I also wondered how true it is to, if these 3 drag queens were to go through middle America, if they would actually, you know, they did face a little bit of heat somewhat, but I just was thinking to myself, would these women, especially like the women at the home, wherever they were, would they actually accept them like this, especially in the 90s? Would they actually be accepted like that, or is this just a fantasy?
I mean, I would imagine it depends on the person, because I feel like there's a, like, you know, it's a perspective thing. I know for me, like when I growing up in South Carolina, especially, like I never met. I think I met maybe on one hand. I can count on one hand how many people I met that were, on the sexual spectrum in any way, shape, or form. Like, I think I met one gay person and one bisexual person, and that was pretty much my experience with LGBT growing up as a kid. And even then, you know, we're kids, so who knows if that was actually true. That's just how we felt, that like those kids may have felt at that time, and then maybe they changed differently. I don't know, because I haven't met them since then. But then, you know, and then when I went to college, met a few more people who were gay, but that was it. And then moving out here to Seattle is when my first time really meeting the whole spectrum of meeting people who were asexual, who were transgender, bi, gay, non-binary, like, it just was like culture shock. So it took me a long time to like understand it, to learn it. But then it's like meeting those people changed my perspective, because you know when you grow up in the South, it still feels other. Like even if you say like, oh yeah, we're cool with if you're gay, it's no big deal, but just don't come with me to church, or don't say that in front of my family, or there's always these like asterisks you add to it that is like this unconscious bias that you don't realize you have until you then like really take a step back and self-reflect and be like, you know what, even though I say I'm being accepting of this group of people, I'm still making reservations on how accepting I'm allowing myself to be, and so I feel like, I say all that to say, I feel like if they did take a trek through Middle America, I feel like maybe not everybody would be into it, but I feel like if they met, like if some of them actually took the time to talk to those people or whatever, they would find where those biases are, correct those, and then also realize they're just people. Like I had to realize that. It's like they're just people. They don't live their life the way I live it, but that doesn't mean they're not worthy of being loved, of not being respected, of not being given the chance to just enjoy their life the way they want to enjoy it. Like, it is what it is.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's adding to that list of the things people say. It's like there's the people who also say when people say that they're gay, like there's people who are like, oh, I don't care what goes on between like you and who else, or I don't care what goes on in the bed, or I don't want my kids hearing you talk about being gay because I don't care what goes on in the sheets or whatever. Whereas it's not the same with like straight people. It's like you could talk about being straight all the time, and it's like no issue, Whereas being gay, it's always like so sexualized.
Yeah. Well, in my high school, all the straight kids were fine to do, and we barely got like a LGBT club started when I was going there. And I remember going there, and it was so uncomfortable for me because, ironically, I was still technically in the closet. None of my friends do, but I was also the only queer person there. I was like, this feels more like an allyship club, but like I like the support. I went to like 2 meetings. They were the weird kids that started it. But it's also that with like progressive places, like places that are considered progressive, like Chicago even. You could go to that city and they may or may not be accepted. Just like with Middle America, you have like a chance of like finding one family that may not be too influenced also by a lot of the media that's going on right now and the negativity they've shown towards drag queen and the sexualization of it. That's causing a lot of people to suddenly be like, well, this is like, sin, blah, 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 whatever. I think if there's a place where like social media isn't run rapid and it's really just people just trying to live their life and being like, what you do is your business as long as you're causing no harm. I don't care. Which a lot of times that is what those small towns are. But they're also very heavily racist, so John Leguizamo and Wesley Snipes characters would not be safe in general.
True. Or
perceiving them as women, yeah.
Or they're highly religious, too, and that can be a problem.
Yeah.
Also.
So you got the highly religious where everybody goes to that one church. Or you have the super racist, which kills 2 out of the 3 characters. So.
Yeah, especially with that
America's
sheriff.
Great.
Where the sheriff.
Oh yeah, the sheriff.
He's just straight up like he is hitting all of them. He's a racist. He sexually assaults. Like, cause let's just say they were all cis women, right? Like he was straight up about to just sexually assault this woman, not even 5 feet away from this car that she just got out of.
I mean,
like,
it was sad that he didn't die.
He did technically still sexually assault.
He did.
Yeah, it's true, actually. And then on top of that was also like trying to essentially gather up for a manhunt for these people. So this is just the worst cop possible. The only reason it doesn't feel that bad is because it's a comedy. So they lighten it.
Right. And then also this police force is corrupt because he's saying he got beat up by a woman and this police force is like,
we could give 2 shits less, right? We don't care. This is why I tell you, this is why I carry a Hello Kitty mini bat in my car, because if I come swinging out with that, suddenly no longer am I fighting a 5 5'5" woman with a Hello Kitty bat, I suddenly turn into a giant man, like throwing around a tire iron. Nobody's gonna admit to that because you get laughed at and stuff like that.
Although I do love that scene, that does make me laugh. I don't know why. I always love movies where they have like comedies that have the prejudice person or whatever, because they always make them like as stupid as you feel. I
love the prejudice person in the films.
Well, because in my head, it's like, this is how dumb it feels in real life, but you can't say that, you can't show that. So it's like, this is a perfect like embodiment of that. Cause I think about also like Smokey and the Bandit, where Jackie Gleason's character as a Sheriff Buford T. Justice, he's prejudiced, but he's also an idiot and incapable of hunting down one person. And so it's like, yeah, because if you are prejudiced, you should be. Because you're a jackass and an idiot.
I think like people like us who deal with a lot more prejudice, we find a weird humor in it because you have to do that to survive a little bit. Because one of the days I was taking it on the bus, I got called a slur, a Middle Eastern slur, and in my head, all I thought was, I'm Mexican. I didn't feel threatened or anything.
Like the guy you weren't offended or threatened.
I wasn't that offended. I wasn't that like threatened. The guy just kind of looked at me, didn't stop walking, and said it. And like there was these two nicer older women who kind of looked at me concernedly, and I just shrugged. And in my head was like, I'm Mexican. I'm clearly Mexican. Why would he get the wrong slur?
That was in the. I think you told me that was during the PAX days, right?
No, this happened recently. Well, I'm happy to have my car back. No, it's happened before. No, that time I got called the N-word. That time I verbally let out my confusion when people asked me, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I'm not black. Why did she call me that? They're like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, oh, I'm clearly not black. It was like during the winter time.
Did the person think you were like? Did the person think you were like
mixed?
Black and white, like biracial? Because some biracial black and white people look like Latino or Latino.
Yeah, but they look like maybe Dominican or something. Like I'm clearly very much like, unless I'm doing like straight up. No, I can't. I can't even be like a light-skinned black person. Like that one, I was just like, I'm like, you just on something, aren't you? You don't actually see me. You see something else because you have to be on something. So, but there's that. There's a weird humor in that, and that's what I kind of agree with you with the like sheriff, because it brings them out of this humorous, survival thing we all have. To see them and you're like, you're a bumbling fool, just like I imagine you are in real life. Well, that I have no respect for.
Especially that scene in the bar when he's just like, the gears are turning, and he's just like, two men laying together, loving each other, and I'm like, yeah, because you're gay. Like that's why you're angry.
There was an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine that was like that where. Holt and Jake Prowl, the main characters, they were in a jail cell in Florida, ironically.
Oh, yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah.
They were about to fight, and the sheriff's like, oh, let me get a good seat. And they're like, you're not going to stop us? And he's like, no, whatever. So instead, they, like, kiss briefly, and the sheriff, like, rips open the door. He's like, hey, knock that off. And then he's on the news later. He's like, well, yeah. He's like, and then they started kissing, which there's nothing wrong with that. But, like, I shouldn't have to see it. Like you had these people in prison, and that's how they ended up escaping. And it's that like whole bumbling foolish thing where you're just like, I can't handle this concept.
Yeah, which Chris Penn does a great job. He's a great villain in this movie, or antagonist, I guess. Although I love, like, cause it gets real fast. This man comes out with a full loaded shotgun. And a bullhorn, like, bring the drag queens out right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, yo, this got dark real fast because he is straight up about to murder these people.
But I always love those moments in movies when they're trying to stick up for the people and they're like, we are all drag queens. I'm a drag queen. I'm a drag queen. We are all drag queens. So if you're going to take one of us, you're going to take us all.
Which, in reality, that sheriff would have been like, okay, shh. Like,
honestly, yeah, probably.
That's how that would have went down. But it's a comedy, so we're not going to let that happen. But I oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh no, I was just gonna say I initially thought I thought the whole movie was gonna be a road trip movie at first, like them going throughout the country.
You
and
think
then
that
it starts as that, but then it kind of stops and it turns into this they're helping out this community.
No, it's because of how movies are made today. And a movie made today, they would have stopped in that town at the beginning of the movie and then stayed there for the entire film. But in this movie, we start in New York. We have a little bit of stuff there. Then they go to the hotel location. Then they go to the town, which is great because the hotel is great.
About the 4 points, so one of those points had to be in that hotel.
Yeah, and it's also to show off of Chi-Chi's like naivety or naivete of not understanding, like, we're not in New York anymore. Like, you can't just be running around in drag, just just doing stuff. Right? There's some places people don't accept us, and you could get killed.
And
he's Latin. Even living in New York, man, you understand that. It's like all of a sudden, your racial prejudiceness or your racial heritage should have given you a sense of some self-preservation.
Yeah, which is a thing where that's why I say, like, I know, and apparently because I was looking at the casting on Wikipedia, it says when it came to casting leading men, Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo, whom the role of Chi-Chi Rodriguez was specifically written for, both immediately said yes. So they intentionally did pick John Leguizamo. It's not like they were like he just happened to get the role, but I feel like they should have aimed for someone younger. I don't know who, because I don't know who at that time in the 90s was like a Latin actor who was really young. Working at that time. They were
all like the same age around that time, right? Around 30.
Well,
40s?
Patrick Swayze was like in his 40s. Wesley Snipes, I imagine he was.
Is Wesley Snipes still alive?
Yeah,
he's very much still alive.
He just doesn't
he's only
work
60
as
years
much,
old.
But he's still alive.
Again, I don't know who's alive and who's dead. I know
Patrick Swayze is the
dead.
only one.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze is the only one.
I don't mean to be so excited saying that statement, but I know he's dead.
What is interesting though is the list
Wesley
of
Snipes
actors.
was like in his he was like in his early 30s when they filmed this.
And
Patrick swayze was in his early 40s.
And
what's interesting is the list of actors.
He was older.
Yeah, John Leguizamo's older than
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, by 2 years. So they were saying young boy. Meanwhile, Wesley Snipes is younger than John Leguizamo.
Vita, is it Boheme? I forget what her last name was. But apparently the list of actors that were on the list and were considered were Robert Downey Jr., William Baldwin, Gary Oldman, Matthew Broderick, James Spader, John Cusack, Mel Gibson, Robert Sean Leonard, Willem Dafoe, John Turturro, Matt Dillon, Rob Lowe, Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise, and even Robin Williams himself.
I think Robin Williams would have done too cartoony. Willem Dafoe, I would love to see Willem Dafoe in drag.
Some of these names,
I think Johnny Depp would have been. I think Johnny
list.
Depp would have been good too.
Johnny Depp would have been good at that time.
He would have been great.
He was doing great things at that time.
Yeah, and he's been flamboyant in many of his performances. Mm-hmm. So just adding a wig and a dress.
I would have liked to see Robert Downey Jr. in it at that in that role at that time. He was very funny. He was great
I'm trying to think how young he looked at that time because he wouldn't he have looked too young?
Maybe because he wasn't like his early, if not his late 20s, like his early 30s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he still had like a young face. Like he aged very well.
It's not until after jail that he started aging.
Mm-hmm. Also, Gary Oldman is there's some interesting picks on this list though. Gary Oldman? I don't know.
Well, Gary
Oldman.
Gary Oldman is younger than Patrick Swayze.
I know, but I'm just saying I don't see him doing this role.
Mm-hmm. Gary Oldman is 65. Gary Oldman was born in '58, and Patrick Swayze was born in '52.
Now this is a bit offensive, but it's
I can
true.
kind of see that. Look, that's Gary Oldman in 1995. Can you see it at all?
All I see is
He's
a
got
white blob.
Right.
I mean,
I see the outline.
does that help at all? Nope. Anyway, I could kind of see him doing it. I think because I see Gary Oldman and I see old version of him. But young version of him, I could kind of see it.
I can see Rob Lowe, and that I only said it's a little offensive because, like, I think out of this whole list, he's the only one that's actually gay on the list.
Wait, Rob Lowe?
Is Rob Lowe gay? I thought he was. You know what? No, I'm thinking of a different person. My bad. I'm thinking of what's his face from
He's married too, Cheryl Burkholder.
who am I thinking of? Dang it.
I would only say Rob Lowe because he has really like pretty eyes. But just like Wesley Snipes, he has too sharp of a jaw going on. Same with Willem Dafoe.
He does.
Like, that sharp jaw makes it look like you already got it for Wesley Snipes. Don't do it again.
That's why Patrick Swayze does have a.
It's a little smoother.
But they're drag queens, you know, so it's.
Yeah, but they didn't do so much effect for Wesley Snipes. All right, they were like they just let him be him. But like with
Rob Lowe gay?
Rob Lowe is straight. He's just a very pretty man.
I will find what I'm looking for. It's like it's a sitcom that's been on TV forever. And
is he gay in the sitcom?
No. Well, yes, the dude playing the gay Will and Grace. That's what I was thinking of.
I
was thinking of Eric McCormick.
The guy who plays Will.
I always get Eric McCormick and Rob Lowe mixed up. I don't know why.
They don't even look alike.
No, they do not. I just whenever I see them, I just think I get them mixed up. I don't know why.
I don't think he's gay in real life either.
Is he not? No. I've been lied to my entire life.
You're
That's
a
how good of a
terrible
job
ally,
he did.
Jerome. You don't know who's gay or who's not.
Listen, I made the being gay is normal shirts, okay? That quote is going to be on the First Was to Die Pride merch. And it's because of me. So I am I am a great ally.
As you yell at the only queer person here.
We're brother and sister. That doesn't count.
But I would just like to see William Dafoe in drag. I think he would just like do all out. He would give 110%.
Oh, definitely.
Willem Dafoe. Yeah, so I think his would just look absolutely incredible. Just in a normal setting, I want to see him do drag. I think
says here
his performance would be gorgeous. I just know it.
It says Patrick Swayze is one of the last actors to audition for Vita. Director Beeben Kidron, I think is how you pronounce her name, said that it was ultimately Swayze's walk that sealed the deal, saying Swayze has his own makeup people transform into a woman, or had his own makeup people transform him into a woman, and he insisted that he and Beeben take a walk around the city to prove he could pass as a woman. And with his beauty and dancer's grace, he did just that. He had the job.
I always forget Patrick Swayze has like dancing. Yeah, there's that smooth ability, that gracefulness. I think Patrick Swayze was a perfect fit for this film.
Same. He was great. He is absolutely perfect as in this role.
And I love the role that they made with Evita, where she was supposed to be like the sweet, caring one. She's like, look, I'm looking out for you, but you need to start listening to me. The very motherly type of role. Like, I'm going to watch out for all my little drag children.
I do like that they do address the whole thing of, like, we're tired of this white woman telling us what to do, telling the black lady and the Hispanic lady what to do. And I'm like, I'm glad somebody said it. Because that is a factor in this movie of this white lady is taking charge, making, like, telling people what to do, like a Karen.
Too, at the beginning, when she was like, oh, we decided we're going to bring, they said another
Chi-Chi.
little Latin, the way they said it, though, was not.
Oh, yeah.
Like our little Latin friend or something like that. Wesley Snipes' character was like, we? And even still, as Robin Williams and Patrick Swayze's character are talking, she's just sitting there, we? Like, I will not be ignored. We did not decide anything. Which I thought it was stupid. I did actually hate at the end that Chi-Chi was the one who went on to win the contest.
Well, you know, Sir Art.
You hated it?
I don't care. She didn't earn it. She didn't deserve it yet.
I did think about that where I was like, she didn't win the competition, so how did she get entered into the like,
you knew it was coming from the beginning when she was feeling very dejected and like that her two drag aunties didn't care about her. And so you knew she was going to have, this arc where she was going to win at the end and everything.
No, I thought it was going to be the white woman. I thought it'd be Patrick Swayze. I, honest to God, was like, well, one, I'm annoyed. Two, I'm surprised. So, no, I thought it was going to be Patrick Swayze's character. And, like, maybe she hands off the crown to her or something. But, like, I was like, first of all, how you just jumping into a competition like this? They both, and there's technically 2 slots. So, one only had to give up their slot for Chi-Chi. The other one still could have competed. Mm-hmm. So, Naxima could have still competed. She could have still gotten her crown. She was held back.
What do you guys think of? Did any of the townsfolk stand out to you for either of you?
The lady who didn't talk.
Carla.
Yeah.
Or Clara. Sorry,
Why?
Clara.
Why?
No, just because of her, like, just because she, it was interesting seeing her, go through her transformation of her art getting, or her guard being let down, and at the end when she gets the makeover and everything, and how she does her little dance and stuff, and I also liked the wife lady. Was it Beatrice or Carol Ann?
Oh,
was getting abused.
That was I think it was Myrna, actually.
Oh.
I think. Pretty sure it was Myrna.
Okay.
What's the plot?
But both the actress who portrayed her, she was good, and I thought her, her kind of
it was Carol
storyline.
Ann. I'm sorry, it was Carol Ann.
Okay. Well, Carol Ann, her getting out of that situation. Did she fully get out of the situation with her husband?
They kind of leave it very open-ended because Virgil just is like,
I hope she doesn't go
right?
back.
And then he drives away. But I'm like, yeah, because in every abuse
I need some papers
situation,
I need to see
somebody
some
just
papers
smacks
signed.
this man, and then he's just like, well, I've been taught my lesson, and now I will leave and never come back again.
If anything, that's going to make him even more
right,
upset and vengeful.
You're not going to stay here. He's just going to wait for you to leave, and then he's going to come back and maybe hurt
also,
this lady
it's a
worse.
small town. That means most likely this is where his job and everything else is.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably just went down to like the next farmhouse and be like, I gotta stay here. She's pissed at me, so I'm gonna just stay here tonight.
So I hope she eventually got out of that situation.
Yeah. Let's just say
in
she
the
did.
moment,
for the sake of the
showed
Too
courage.
Wong Fu universe, she got out of there perfectly fine.
Yes.
Everything worked itself out. It's
Just
just like
she ended up moving to California.
It's just like Hairspray. All right, everybody just immediately accepts integration with no fuss, no
Racism
muss.
is over.
Yeah.
Once the two white people at the end
Once
kiss.
they see Penny and Seaweed kiss on TV, they're like, "Oh man, you know what? We've been doing it wrong this whole time. Let's get these black people in here. Let's go."
I still say they just hated Amber more than they hated black people. That's why they were so. They're like, it gets her out here. I'll dance with a black man. It's fine. It's fine.
It's like the lesser of two evils.
For a white person, yeah.
In this movie, the lesser of two evils in an abusive relationship is just to leave and just never come back, never bother your abused spouse ever again.
No, the best thing to do is murder. It's a small town. The sheriff's an idiot, and you got lots of land.
Is he even the sheriff of that town? He just hunts them down. But is he actually the sheriff of that county? Because I don't think he is.
I don't know. There you go. The other sheriff's not even around. Use that as fertilizer.
I like the Jimmy Joe story, like the black guy who runs the little convenience store or whatever.
The store.
Yeah, because it's like there's this cute little romance between him and this other lady. I think it's Beatrice, and it's cute, it's adorable, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's in there.
What about the whole Chi-Chi, Bobby Lee, Bobby Ray love triangle?
That's again, they really should have cast somebody younger. I know they want John because the whole time I'm like, even if you were into her as just a woman or whatever, she's way older than you.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly.
Yeah. It's interesting that they say that this role was written for him, because it definitely feels like, one, it should be somebody significantly younger, and then honestly maybe somebody white with the way his ignorance is. No,
but I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Like their lack of self-preservation is on a whole other level. It's like there's no way.
I'm safe to run around and be like
Chi-Chi could have gotten killed at least like 3 times in this movie.
Yeah, easily. Like not only being like queer, but also being of color. There's like your self-preservation level is like at an all-time high. At all times, there's no way you would feel comfortable just being like, yeah, I'll just like, oh man, these guys are hitting on me. Oh, that's fine. It's like, no, they clearly look like they want to like devour you like a tiger in a cage.
Yeah, like you.
And I also this is kind of off topic, but who left a damn shoe at the scene of the crime? Don't you realize that your shoe was gone and you saw that the cop was knocked out, so he ain't getting up anytime soon?
Well, they thought he was
Someone
dead.
had time to grab the shoe. Exactly. So why would you leave your shoe at the exactly?
That's
so
true.
Why would you leave your shoe at the scene of the crime?
Also, shoes
Was it the adrenaline? You didn't realize your shoe was gone?
Well, they didn't flee. I feel like they should have fled faster.
It's true, yeah.
They didn't flee as fast. But you got a point. Also, as somebody who wears larger shoes, because I actually have big feet, shoes get expensive the bigger they get, past 10. So, like, I feel like no respecting drag queen or Bigfoot person would leave their shoe behind. Especially with heels.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a heel? Yeah, it was a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. They but the plot has to happen.
Why couldn't it have been like a necklace or something? It could have been a necklace or something.
Bracelet.
A bracelet.
Because they were flapping their arms.
Right. It had to be a shoe.
I want to wear more bracelets.
Right.
But I get caught on so many. This thing pulls at my hair all the time. It's just my watch. I'll get it caught in my hair.
I got mine on too.
Yeah, see? Hey, Jerome. You have like a normal watch.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because, I read.
Oh, hey, but we all got watches on.
What wrist do you guys wear it on?
My left.
My right wrist.
Oh, you see, I wear it on my right.
I wear mine on my left because it's easier to put on with my right.
See, I don't know what it is, but if I wear it on my left, I will hit it against everything. It's more comfortable, and it feels more comfortable on my right.
Same.
Somebody asked me, they were like, is there a reason you wear it on your right? I'm like, was there a reason I needed to wear it on my right? But this movie,
it broke.
I like it.
Yeah, I think Bobby Ray is at least he's a nice enough guy though. He doesn't get upset when she turns him down. He's just like, well, there's other fish in the sea. And then he goes on over to Bobby Lee. He's like, all right, well, you're available and you're my age.
He didn't say that last part.
It's that last part, but
we thought it.
Yeah, I'm sure he
More
did.
like, you're available.
Well, especially because like I love his face, and I wonder if this was an actual actor's choice or if he just was like, I don't know, just like reacting in a weird way. But when the sheriff comes to town and he's like, you think they're all women, but they're actually drag queens. They're boys wearing dresses and wigs. And it cuts to Bobby Lee and Bobby Ray coming out like of their house, and the look on Bobby Ray's face is just that one of like, hold up, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that Chi-Chi was a damn man? He just looks so confused, like he's putting the pieces together.
I feel like they may have directed them because they're like, all right, this is the first time you're actually gonna like hear it, maybe react. But I love, especially I feel like back in the '90s, actors' faces were such more expressive in a humorous way. Like nobody was controlled. They were just like, you didn't need to gasp that hard, sir. But like, yeah, I think it was more of a director choice. But like the way he did it was probably all him.
It just made me laugh. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it made me laugh the whole time. Although I am glad that at least Carol Ann noticed. She's like, I knew you were a man the whole time, but like,
well,
I don't care.
I think other than John Leguizamo, the other two tower over her significantly.
Yeah, it's true. They're very tall.
So, at some point, you started to
plus the heels.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they were all wearing like real heels too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wear those. I wore those once, and I had to wear,
at the Halloween party.
New Year's. The last time I wore them was New Year's Eve 2020 or 2019.
2019 going into 2020.
Yeah. I do thank you, Jonathan, for walking slowly back to the car with me. Because I put on sandals. I wore them for I think we were there from 8 to 2. I wore them the entire time, and then we were walking back to the car, I put on sandals, and this poor man, who you were already significantly taller than me and walk faster than me, had to slow down even more because I'm doing this baby shuffling.
And plus, we're walking down hills, the Seattle hills and stuff.
It was horrible. I went to work the next day, and I just had my feet on ice packs. I regret it, but I look good.
Yeah.
I looked good.
And we wouldn't have stayed that long if it wasn't for the daggone fireworks show that didn't happen.
Which I said
and they
that
said,
night. I was like, "That's a bad omen. This is ominous.
Of the year to come.
This isn't a good way to start off the year." And everybody's like, "It's just windy. You can't do the fireworks." I'm like, "No. This is a bad omen. Bad things are to come." And then boom. Funny. I like the strawberry social thing. That's the one thing I do like about small towns is those little events where it's the strawberry shortcake festival. It's it looked cute. I liked it.
It looked like a fun party.
I liked the shopping scene where
yes, the shopping scene when they come out and they're in their outfits. I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
I like how it's a vintage store, of course.
Mm-hmm. And then you had the guy with the stutter, and his stutter is fixed when he's given that book from
one book fixed it. That's all he needed.
But there is a thing with people who stutter and singing. A lot of people who are singers but also stutter, they don't stutter when they sing.
It's true.
Which is a thing.
Well, they showed it did it in the King's Speech, and they actually did it in this show in England. It was a reality show where it followed certain students in a private school. If you are listening to music while they were doing their speeches, their stuttering didn't come out. So it's almost I can't even say what it was like, but it was actually really cool. And I watched the scene with the kid doing it, and it was really heart wrenching. I teared up. I was like, that's sweet. So there is a way. I doubt one book though. I'm sure that was also progress and training and working with teachers.
One book in one day.
Yeah. So that one may be too much asking for. But when you're a drag queen, you can fix anything.
That's the lesson of this movie. Is
moral
drag queens
of the story.
Can fix anything.
Exactly.
I love my favorite scene though always, mostly because it just it's nostalgia for me. The Wonder Woman theme, when they fix up the room and it's Wonder Woman. I'm like, oh my god, that's my jam. But also just how they are magic. Literally, they throw curtains up and they just hang up naturally. Just
they're like this.
Throw a sheet, fits to the bed. I'm okay. Whatever you say.
I mean, some people do have that natural charm where they can just throw things and things will settle. I don't know.
It's just, I mean, they decorated the hell out of that room. It did look nice. It looked cool.
They did.
You know what I'm surprised by? the lack of bags they had while traveling.
True.
Because
But they had multiple outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Listen, they are Wonder
They
Woman.
even
All
brought
they
their
do is spin
basketball
around
clothes.
real quick, and then they just like they transform.
Yeah,
And
they're
like with the
magical.
basketball, they had the basketball even with the rainbow. Like that was a whole outfit with like sneakers going on.
It's
And
true.
you all
Yeah.
had bathing suits and then nightwear and then multiple pairs of shoes, mind you, that you were okay losing even one pair.
And
But you
also,
all had,
did
like,
they ever
2 bags
take?
each.
Did they ever take off their makeup at any point in this movie? Because taking off makeup is a process in and of itself, and then putting it back on is a process in and of itself.
No. You just see them put it on at the beginning and then that's it.
Yeah, because I was like, are you gonna take off any of your
Shouldn't
stuff?
they
You
take
can't
off
sleep
isn't
like
it
that.
You could, but it's not good for your skin. What about the wigs though? Did they ever show them taking them off like for bed or anything?
No.
I think once they put them on at the very beginning, like you saw, the only time you saw them out of drag was at the very beginning, I think.
And that one time Patrick Swayze's wig came off.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's it.
He got his wig snatched.
By a hook.
And it was crazy because it was
Dirty.
a very intense moment too. And all of a sudden, got the wig snatched.
There was this cute video of a baby, like can't be like more than 3 months old or something.
Wearing a wig.
No. It was a photo with the mom, the grandmother, and then the great grandmother. This baby just leans over, snatches the great grandmother's wig off. Like while they're taking photos, she just snatches it. And I was like dying because the baby has it, and she looks so proud that she took the wig. But everybody else is like, the mom's dying, the grandmother's like being like, no, let it go, and the great grandmother's just like, oh my god.
She,
But
like
the
that baby.
itself, she just
The baby was just like, hold on, great grandma, you got something on your head. I got it. Hiya!
pretty much. It was just the cutest thing, and then the baby's just like, look what I got. Be like, she's gonna start fighting at an early age. She knows where to pull already. With that. Yeah, I just thought about that because you can't really sleep. I don't think you should sleep in wigs. I don't know. I've never worn a wig.
Well, they probably get
I
messed
don't know,
up if you sleep in it.
Right?
Now, funny enough, you mentioned Some Like It Hot, but this is because I was looking under the legacy page. Apparently, Rita Kempley of the Washington Post wrote that in comparison to previous films that featured cross-dressing like Some Like It Hot or Tootsie, the heroines in Too Wong Fu aren't cross-dressing to escape the mob or to prove a point. They're just being true to their nature. Which I agree with that. I agree with that entirely.
Absolutely. I've never seen Tootsie.
I saw the musical, and it's pretty much like, Mrs. Doubtfire, but he's dressing up as a woman to like prove a point and get a role. Yeah, because he's like an actor and he's struggling and.
Which, at least with Mrs. Doubtfire, he had like somebody to actually show him how to dress and do makeup and stuff and give him options. Tootsie was an ugly woman. Just an ugly woman. I will say Wesley Snipes, manly, but like made a pretty woman. Stylish. Got the hair right. Perfect nails. Tootsie? You look like an 8th grade science teacher.
Funny, we were just talking about them staying in drag the whole movie. They actually did talk about this. Douglas Carter Bean, who's the writer for the movie. Of the character staying in drag, Douglas Carter Bean said his intent was to create an illusion, saying, it's about fantasy and the illusion. It's about the work that goes into the art form. It was never meant to be an absolutely truthful documentary look at drag. The fantasy element can also be seen as perpetuating an idea that transgender identity is nothing but make-believe. Drag queen Alaska Thunderfuck, that's her name, said that what the film does best is the camaraderie between the girls, the way they look out for each other and protect one another. The movie also illustrates the transformative power of drag. It helps people become empowered no matter where they come from or what kind of life they lead, which is also true.
That's very sweet. All right, so there was a method to them never coming out of drag. Because I can also just remember Ross complaining about getting out of drag. I've never heard him complain about going into drag, but like cleaning stuff off. Like I've heard him be like, it takes forever. So I was like, kind of had that mindset, but like, no, that is a good point, and it also keeps you into this like mindset of like you're watching these three women instead of like going back and forth between like, oh, they're men now, which is like, oh, it's he, she. This is like, no, they're women in this film right now. This is a she. This is how they're presenting. This is who they are, and this is the reality of what they're having to deal with, especially with this weird love triangle John Leguizamo had gotten into.
Yeah,
which I don't understand why that was needed either. Did they say something about that in there? About why that weird little love triangle was needed?
Not really. I feel like that was just to maybe like appeal to maybe more the general viewers. There's a love story in there. Everybody can relate to that. Also because because like also, you know, if this movie was written by somebody else, who maybe someone who didn't have as much respect for the culture, they would have there would have been easily a scene where it's like, we need to get into that hotel, but they won't accept drag queens. Oh well, and they would go into the bathroom and come back out and they're dressed like men, and and just walk in there and whatever, and that be the scene. So I appreciate that somebody who cared enough about the culture to actually have that. The fact that it was a choice and not just they just forgot is cool. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And that they had actual drag queens on set.
Yeah, there's a lot of drag queens in this movie.
Yeah, there was
too,
a significant amount looking at the list.
Also, Julie Newmar,
which is good to have
too, which is kind of cool.
Was Julie Newmar like part of the drag culture? Why is she so big in this film?
Actually, there is something about that. So apparently, the script, like, where is it? Dang it. Being said, here, we'll start here. Though advertising companies wanted to change the film's title to The Shorter Ladies' Night or She's a Lady, Bean's script managed to keep the original title, which came from an autographed picture of Julie Newmar that Bean saw on the wall of a Times Square Chinese restaurant in the mid-1980s. Bean said Wong Fu is meant to be a metaphor for God, because you have to thank God for everything. You have to be grateful for life. You just have to stop where you are and say thank you for everything. A seamless film where the characters provide more context, but it was deleted.
Interesting.
So
I love hearing where writers get their ideas from. It's always
right.
weirdest ass things.
So it was actually based off of a real, a photo of Julie.
Well, that's the title origin. The movie origin is apparently writer Douglas Carter Bean originally envisioned the script as a stage play, but changed his mind when he realized putting a car on stage might not work. Bean was inspired by an anti-gay propaganda film called The Gay Agenda. Of that film, Bean said there's a scene where they show drag queens going through a town, and the narrator is warning the viewers that these people will take over your town. And I thought, well, that would be fun. And so then he wrote the movie.
I love it. I love this guy. What other films has he written?
This could easily be a play as well, or a musical.
Definitely.
I could see it as a musical. Definitely.
Another big person who helped get this made, by the way, Steven Spielberg.
Really?
Apparently, the script found its way to Mitch Kahn, then a development executive at Amblin Entertainment. Kahn passed the script along to his boss,
right. I saw Amblin
Steven Spielberg, who loved it. Spielberg had his friend Robin Williams do a humorous cold reading of the script while on a plane, which mesmerized the director. Williams expressed interest in a possible role, but did not want to distract from the three leads, so he opted for a small cameo appearance.
Robin Williams.
He's great.
He was a good guy.
Yeah, he's fantastic. We share a birthday.
Oh, nice.
But I just love that Steven Spielberg immediately was like, yes, absolutely. Let's do this. I'm with it.
Yeah, I remember seeing Amblin Entertainment at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that. That's cool. It's nice to know how because a lot of times when you hear movies like this or something, especially during certain time periods, I think the 90s were a little more starting to open to the LGBT. So it's nice that this was like made during then, because it felt like they almost had a lot more support compared to like if it was tried to be done like during the 90s or early 90s. 2000s would have been a terrible time to make this film. For some reason, they would have worn like multiple layers of clothing. 2000s were awful fashion. It would have been terrible fashion.
They were still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm very happy this got made like during the 90s. This feels like it's a good area.
Here's a question for you guys, because I've thought about this a lot. You know, this being an LGBT kind of classic, but at the same time, now, like, it was made as good as it could have been made in the 90s. But now we live in an era where you can make LGBT comedies, big budget, and there's almost no restrictions. It's just like, do whatever you want to do. Like, as long as it's not explicit, like, you know, like NC-17 level, sure. Like, we're into it. And there's a lot more producers out there producing more LGBT content. Do you think they could remake this again? Or remake this in the modern day? And if they did, who do you think would be the 3 leads?
I don't think they could remake this again. Because the problem with a lot of movies that are made today, I kind of get it, but I don't get it at all. It's like, what's that movie? The gay movie that recently came out.
Oh, Bros.
Bros.
Yeah, it fell into every fucking cliche romance style movie ever, and it was so boring. And certain moments were very cute, like when they were making out in the sand, and the friends came over, being like, "Hey, okay, I support you guys," and like ran off. That was a cute little moment. But it just ended up every cliche ever, and it's like, well, this doesn't even feel like a gay movie. You just feel like some like straight writers wrote it.
See, but
I feel
I'm
like
thinking about like
it'll
Fire
fall back.
Island though, like because I heard Fire Island was pretty good, and that came out.
I heard that was.
I
good.
haven't watched that.
That
But I
one
just
has
feel
a
like
Bo and Yang in it.
It'll fall into a lot of categories, and I don't think they'll make it as racist as it was.
That's true.
And
they probably won't.
Yeah, and then like that did have some effect to it because it was a white person, a black person, and then a Latin person. Especially when Latin people and black people are together, we get kind of racist with each other.
I don't think they should remake it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do at some point. But
I don't know if anyone's asking for another Too Wong Fu anytime soon.
Has anybody been asking for any of the movies?
White Man Can't Jump, House Party.
That's true.
Fatal Attraction, the movie series.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
But I don't think they should, just because we haven't seen, especially nowadays, like we were talking about at the beginning, we haven't seen that many movies based on drag queens already. So if you're gonna remake the one that's notable, it's like we can't have just another different one about a different topic. So
that's true.
So it's like I don't think they should remake it because it's like you're gonna be doing the same thing where there's potential right now to do something different. Now, if they run out of ideas, then go ahead. But there's still stuff on the table. But that being said,
if they risk making it into a musical, maybe.
Well, they could make it into a musical.
Funny enough, there is a
adaptation.
musical. In 2017, it was announced that Douglas Carter Bean and his husband, Louis Flynn, were working on a musical adaptation for Broadway. In an interview, Bean stated that he had originally written Too Wong Fu for the stage and had retained the stage rights when the screenplay was produced. The musical is scheduled to premiere at the Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester on October 21st, 2023. So this year is the debut of the musical.
I'm very happy Lin-Manuel Miranda is not involved in it. Gonna be honest. He needs to keep out of it. He's quickly becoming what's the James Corden of the musical.
The James Corden of musicals. Even though James Corden is
George Corden is of musicals, yeah.
Lin-Manuel actually adds stuff to the musical, though.
But it's the
I
same
still
thing.
like
It's the same
Lin-Manuel.
hip-hoppy vibe.
I will give you this. It's true. After Hamilton and In the Heights, he is stuck in one musical genre. Like I would prefer him to diversify a little bit on his musical stylings. But I do like his music. I think he's still, for me, I'm not annoyed with him yet. I just would like him to change it up, as far as like his musical styles. He did pretty good with Encanto. I like the music in Encanto.
Yeah. So you mentioned who would be cast. And I feel like they would, and they probably should, go with, actual drag queens. Maybe for the role, I don't know who they would go with.
They would pick straight men.
Well, funny enough, that's also an intentional thing too. It actually is said that they did pick John Leguizamo and Wesley Snipes specifically because they were considered more masculine men at that time. And so they wanted
John
to have them
Leguizamo was considered masculine at that time.
I mean, yeah, he was considered like a dude. That like
Is that all it take? You guys have very low requirements.
I mean, you see how he looks with his like 5 o'clock shadow in his beard and stuff. Like,
if they were to go with the one drag queen that I know, because I feel like a lot of the ones that make it big do come from Drag Race, and I don't watch Drag Race. But
sorry, not Leguizamo, Swayze, Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes. Those were the two where they were like, we like having these two for this role because they're known for masculine movies.
See. That
But Shangela, do you guys know who Shangela is?
No.
Vaguely.
She was the drag queen in A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga. Yes. And she was on Dance with the Stars. She would be the Wesley Snipes role. And that's my one casting choice.
Like, honestly, I don't even know who I'd cast to do those roles. I feel like you know what? I do know.
I do not want Pedro Pascal or Oscar Isaac involved in that project.
No, I'm not.
They'd be too old anyways.
Yeah, that's what we got already for the
last. No, they're too old.
They need to be left alone.
No, I'd pick Ryan Gosling to play Vita. Just because I feel like he'd have fun with the role. I could see him having a lot of fun.
I think you need somebody more masculine.
I don't know, Ryan Gosling. Have you seen him in Drive? That man's scary. He's out here stomping people in elevators. And he's gonna be Ken and Barbie.
I think it's not too late to get Willem Dafoe to do the role.
It's way too late.
Willem Dafoe's
old now, like old. He was young. He was already pressing old back then in '95, and now he's even older.
He's one of those people that like has always been old, like Samuel L. Jackson. You've never seen a young picture of them.
Or like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Morgan Freeman started his career old.
That's true. Yeah.
That is true.
He didn't start acting until he was like 45 or something.
I could see. Ryan Gosling. Instead of going Latin, I'd go Asian. Pick Simu Liu.
Fine.
We need to stop. I've been seeing all of these.
I knew you were gonna say something about.
Why are you gonna replace a Latin person, huh?
No, right. No. I was gonna say something about Simu Liu.
I know you're gonna say something about Simu Liu because I know you're tired of seeing Simu Liu and stuff.
I keep seeing on Twitter everyone wants what's his name from The Good Place instead of Simu Liu as the Asian Barbie in the Barbie movie, and I can agree with that choice. What's the guy's name from The Good Place?
I know who you're talking about, but I've forgotten his name.
Manny.
Jacinto. Yeah, I agree. He should have been. He looks more Barbie-like than Simu Liu, and Simu Liu just gets on my nerves. So.
Well, only because I can't think of any Latin stars that would. You know what? Mario Lopez. There we go.
No, he's too old too.
But he doesn't look it. That man looks. He still looks the same age.
I mean, not to knock Mario Lopez,
focus.
Not to knock Mario Lopez. I have met him and he looks great even in person.
Who's your pick then for the last for Chichi Rodriguez in the modern day?
There's the guy from the show. Granted, he's not like famous.
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena? I don't know.
I'm just gonna ignore that.
He might be a little too old too.
Again, I don't think age anymore since now we know that he was 35.
But that's the thing. Is like if we're redoing it, we could do it better. We could actually hire people that are actually the age.
The guy from the show, Love Victor. The guy from the show, Love Victor.
You are
Michael.
Aneurysm.
Yeah.
Michael. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I just don't remember
Michael
the actor's
Cimino.
name. I can see that.
Because he's kind of popping off, and he was on Never Have I Ever.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah. That's a good pick. I was gonna say
Granted, he's not like famous, but
I was gonna say Ray Gay John as Noxzema.
Oh.
I'm also picking people with softer features. You know, I mean, they could sell it.
I think we just keep the original cast and crew and just replace the dead ones.
That's only one person.
Right.
I know.
That's gonna be sad.
Anyway,
it's gonna be like, what happened to Vita? Also, real quick before we go, here's the poster for Too Wong Fu the musical. Hold on, when it loads at some point. There we go. So that's Too Wong Fu the musical. Make America Drag Again, which I'm like, so clearly it's gonna be topical.
Right, it's gonna be. They're gonna make it contemporary.
Yeah, it's gonna be running for a long time. October 21st, all the way through December 17th.
I feel like that's not long in like musical.
That's like 2 months.
Yeah.
Is it not? I mean, I don't know much about musical schedules, so.
Making accusations. Is it coming to America or is it just in England?
Coming off of a show that I just did for 6 months.
Yeah,
it's just it's in Manchester, but I guess they figured, you know, like at this point we live in a world
it'll probably come to America because they always do it where they test it in one city first, and if it's popular, then they expand it either to the UK or the US. Yeah, and then it'll eventually come to.
I like this
America
poster
if it's
though.
Popular.
I think this is great. Who knows? Maybe if the musical's popular, then it'll be like a gateway for them to then make another movie.
A remake.
Yeah.
Or they could do a like a Hairspray. They could make a movie based on the musical.
That's what I mean. Like the new movie will be based off of. Interesting. That's not a bad pick though. That's not a bad pick.
You should have kept going, Jerome.
Huh? What? I can see that. You can't see that. You can't see Anthony Mackie doing that.
Actually, yeah, I can't.
Exactly. That's not a bad pick.
I almost thought Jerome didn't hear me. One of my favorite things about editing this podcast is just seeing how like you and me, Jerome, will just say shit, but the other person will keep going. Jonathan always hears us, though. Jonathan hears everything. And sometimes I'll just catch his face making these looks like, I know they did not just say that. Oh my god.
But anyway, Too Wong Fu.
But final thoughts.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a
Jerome.
classic. I'm glad we got to do this for Pride Month because this movie is great. It's topical. It's a lot like Hairspray in that, you know, the subtext is there, but they don't like make it the focus because they want you to have a good time watching this movie, watching these three drag queens just like change the lives of these middle American people. And it's great. It's a fun time. You know, it's like even despite, you know, John Leguizamo feeling like he's a little too old for the role, it still feels like they are three of the best people you could have cast for this movie because all three of them commit so much to their roles. Like Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze do not let the fact that they are masculine, I guess if you want to put like mainly like masculine actors, like action stars, whatever you want to say, like stop them from being like, nah, I am Noxzema Jackson and I'm gonna be fierce. like you know what I mean, they own it. They play the role up to a great degree, and it's great because it makes the characters feel more real, more wholesome, and I think gives them a lot more depth and perspective. And so, you know, you watch this movie and you're just like, man, I feel like I've met drag queens now. Because if you haven't met one in real life, it's like this may be the closest you get. And you're just like, yeah, I feel like I've like hung out with drag queens for like 2 hours, and it was great. It was a good time. We had fun. So I can't recommend this movie enough. Watch Too Wong Fu if you ever get a chance to. It's on Amazon Prime right now. So if you have Amazon Prime, just watch it on like a night, like a just lazy day when you're just not doing nothing. Just watch it, put it on while you're sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I second that. I enjoyed watching it, especially the fact that there was a lot of lightheartedness, a lot of humor, but it's still, you know, without, you know, having to go into all of the heartbreak and the you know, intensity of the like homophobia and racism. They touched on it because it's impossible to ignore, but in a lighthearted and comedic way, which I appreciated. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, they knocked it out of the park, and they just embodied those roles. And it was clear that they did a lot of research. They did do their homework, and yeah, it was overall a fun time. I enjoyed it. Alex.
Okay, so Anthony Mackie, Michael Pena, and then Rob Lowe. I think if they're gonna remake those three,
You know what? Rob Lowe is still alive. We could do it.
he's still alive, and he's got those gorgeous eyes, so they could do like a noir style, going like framing his eyes a lot. I think it'd be onto the drama of it. Just saying, if they're gonna remake it, there you go.
It could work. I still don't agree with the Michael Pena pick.
And RuPaul needs to make another cameo
think
appearance.
that we don't have a lot of Latin male actors, and it's a shame.
I agree with the Love
take what is
Victor,
there.
the kid from Love Victor. I think that's a great pick, Jonathan.
I don't remember him well. He's not notable enough. But no, it was a really fun movie. I remember watching it when I was young, but like completely forgot about it. So it was nice to kind of rewatch it, refresh it, and remember how much I did love it, how funny it was, and it's just a good time. Yeah, it does bring out talk about the racism and the homophobia and discrimination they have to deal with, but it does it in a way where it doesn't feel like it's bringing down the whole movie and you're getting sad and depressed about it. They're handling it in such a good way that you are able to laugh, and it kind of, like I said, when you're a person of color or when you're queer or something, there's a weird survival thing or something where you kind of get a little humor out of things that are thrown at you because that's what you had to do, or it's really going to like tear you apart. This movie presents it that way, where they get this stuff, but it doesn't break them. They're like, yeah, you're just another one. Who cares what you think? And it's a beautiful thing to see in movies, that they don't dwell on it, and it's not something that's brought up like, oh, it destroyed her throughout the whole movie. No, she said fuck off, and that was all good. That's how it's usually on to the day-to-day for me, unfortunately. So I think this movie presented that beautifully. All the actors did amazingly. The John Leguizamo's age thing still bothers me, and that was the big thing throughout the whole movie for me, just because they kept like calling him young boy, little lad. It's like, you were older than Wesley Snipes in the film. And like, not to bash on him, but he looks older than Wesley Snipes.
No, he does. He looks older
film.
than
he looks
they keep
a little bit older,
referencing him.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe they were just making a comment about his petiteness or his newness to being a drag queen. Maybe that's, but it was just still presented in a way that like, you look like you should be maybe a guy in your 20s, like starting out, but I digress. Anyway, really enjoyed this film, and I'm so happy we got to watch it.
Nice.
Yeah. Tommy below.
Anthony Ramos.
Ooh. That's not a bad pick
Oh.
either. That's a great
All
pick,
right.
actually.
All right.
So, okay, I
That
think
one.
we've got it. We've got Anthony Mackie. Solid.
Especially if we're doing a musical version. Anthony Ramos.
True. Yeah.
Oh.
So Anthony Mackie. We got Anthony Ramos. And we got, what was the
Rob
white
Lowe.
person we said? Rob Lowe. We got, like, that's the team. Which works because
Yeah.
Anthony Ramos is younger than both of them. So,
Mhm.
Yes.
That actually
Presenting
fits.
youngness too, than both.
Right.
yeah. So that works out. There we go. If you remake Too Wong
was a
Fu
good one.
in a film version, that's our cast list. Dream cast list.
That was a good one. See, you can make it today. Well, don't remake it.
Don't
Leave it alone.
don't remake it, but if you do,
But if you
If you have to.
You heard it
have
here
to.
first at the First Is to Die podcast. Comment below, audience. Tell us what are your picks maybe for a remade version of Too Wong Fu, and if you have seen it, what you think about the film. Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? If you're a part of the LGBT community, is it a film you enjoy, or is it a film that you're like, it's alright, but it could be better or whatever? Comment below. Tell us what you think.
Yes. And where can people find you at Jerome?
You can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram. And also, check out the First Was to Die YouTube channel. If you're already there looking at the video version of this review, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment too. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But if you're listening to this on the audio version, go on over to the YouTube channel. You can get all types of extra content that you can't get on the audio platforms. Stuff like gaming videos, vlogs, book reviews, mini reviews, all types of stuff. You can even catch Alex yawning. You can see what that looks like in person because there will be video versions of all of the podcasts. So
every episode has me yawning. That doesn't sound
We
right.
do record these late at night, so
Me
I'm
too.
just a sleepy
Fair.
person.
So, check out the YouTube channel at The First Ones to Die. And if you go over there, please do subscribe, because that way you can stay notified on what's going on and when new videos get posted. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, look at Cheddar. I'll have to bring Gibson over. Gibson. Anyway.
All right, Jonathan, where can people find you?
You can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. You can also follow us at The First Ones to Die on all of your favorite social platforms. Oh, look at Cheddar. You can also, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, please review us, give us 5 stars. We would really appreciate that. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Comment below as well. We'd love to hear your feedback. Alex, where can people find you and Cheddar?
You can find us at Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok, and on the podcast TikTok, The First Ones to Die, where I post little clips of the podcast, as well as things we may have been watching, things we will watch in the future, and then little videos of me just stoned and watching movies. I watched recently Evil Dead Rises. That movie was
I also
stupid.
saw Evil Dead Rise. it's-
Mr. Gibson.
It's crazy. I didn't mind it. I don't like it
It was
more.
stupid.
I don't like it more than the other Evil Dead remake. I think Evil Dead Rise has some interesting ideas, but I still like the original. Like, even I always love the original Evil Dead movies, but the Evil Dead remake was better. Just a regular one.
I like how proper he says. I thought it was
He
stupid.
does,
It's always
except
stupid. I always feel like if you bleed
I-
on a book and it opens, I feel like common sense should kick in and be like, don't read from the book that opened from my
No.
blood.
Alex,
But-
before that, if a book has teeth on it, do not open it. If it's sealed with teeth, because it looks like it could bite you at any moment in time, that is a book you put back on the shelf at Barnes & Noble, and you immediately alert the staff that y'all have a demon book in there. You don't need to be selling that.
Why
I
does
would want
Gibson
to at
look
least
frightened
open-
at a demon? Oh,
He hears,
This
he's like,
is-
demon.
he looks so frightened.
But come join us on the YouTube channel and see our pets, Cheddar and Gibson. Gibson is a proper pug, and Cheddar is an orange cat. And that's oh, look at that. He even waves. Cheddar just likes to show his butt sometimes. So, but he's cute. And
Yes.
join us and wherever you can. We'll see you next week when we're watching. What are we watching?
The Black.
The Blackening. I'm excited.
On Juneteenth.
That's right.
Or in honor of Juneteenth, rather. You know, we did in honor of Pride, so now we're doing it in honor of Juneteenth. All right, we're sharing the month.
In honor of Juneteenth, we're going to watch a movie where black people die.
Right.
No, the blackest person dies. All right, the other black people get to go home.
I feel like that's even more anti-Juneteenth.
Well, you'll get to hear what we have to think about it live and in person next week. So tune in for that. You don't want to miss that review. But until then, have a good night, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're listening to this. I don't know. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.